All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. Happy Monday. How's it going, Jen?
Great.
Technical difficulties. We got those out of the way.
I'm still learning. It's only been 3 years.
This is episode 161.
And I just learned how to turn up my mic.
161, yeah. Something like that. I think that's it. Yeah, what are we talking about today? We're talking about, I guess, the ups and downs of business, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And
the importance
enjoying. We've. Go ahead. What were we going to say?
Just the importance of learning how to kind of ride the highs and prepare for lows, or understanding that a low isn't going to always stay low and a high is not always going to stay high.
Yeah, I think it's important. Sometimes we get sucked into how do you deal with the negative stuff?
Yeah.
And so when you brought up this podcast topic, I was like, let's talk about that, because not a lot of people are out there saying, hey, what do you do on the good days?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll jump into that. Why don't we start off with opening takes?
Okay.
3, 2, 1. You want me to go?
Sure.
We should flip a coin for this.
Okay, next time we can do that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, my opening take is that you really should just start the conversation. So when you need to have a conversation, just start the conversation. I think the worst thing that we can do for ourselves is to sort of get stuck in two roads. So you can either A, avoid the conversation, which you have to have, or you B, spend time trying to predict how this thing's going to play out. And I think what happens is people waste so much time trying to predict these things that are never going to turn out that way. Mm-hmm. It never happens. So every time I've done it and I'm like, how's this conversation going to go? I'm stressed out about it. I got to tell this person maybe something bad, or I know they have something bad, so I'm avoiding them, or whatever. We've all had them in our lives at some point. Maybe it's a boss and you're like, I'm going to ask for a raise or whatever, right? Just start the fucking conversation, mm-hmm. because if you don't, it's never going to get had, and you'll figure it out as you go. And I think an optimist, I believe most people are good, or at least trying, even if they're not great at something, they're trying their best. So I think give the other person the benefit of the doubt, start the conversation.
I love that.
All right. See you next week.
Okay. So my opening take is like a throwback. So
okay.
You're going to probably chuckle. A long time ago, there was this, I think the girl got a tattoo or something. I don't know. And it just said start where you are. And we kind of chuckled at it, start where you are. It's so stupid. But I really think this I'll air quote, start where you are. We've talked about this, is so extremely important, because especially with all social media platforms, you see people doing all these things and it's very easy to look up to them. I want to be just like them. But they didn't start where you see them today. They started way before that. So you truly need to really look in the mirror and realize who are you today? What do you bring to the table today? And then you could map out a plan to get where you want to be. But you truly have to start where you are mentally, physically, emotionally. Then you can move forward with a plan. So start where you are, and you'll get where you want to be.
I dig it. I remember.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
I don't know why it just came to me, but it's good.
Yeah, that's good. I agree with that 100%. Start where you are.
Start where you are.
I still feel the same exact as when I saw the tattoo. How is it possible to start anywhere else?
True. But you know what I mean, where people
I think out loud to the person when they showed me.
Yeah, I
was like, wait.
I mean, that's your
how would I start anywhere else?
Dry, sarcastic personality, so that would make sense.
I have to start where I am. Yeah. Doesn't even make sense.
But most often, I think people want to start where the person or whatever they're looking up to, they're trying to start there, and that's not where you're at. So it's just not going to be as successful or at all successful.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I've talked about that a lot in relation to the gym. Mm-hmm. We had clients that would come in and they want to be professional athletes. Right. And they're like, well, if I eat like a professional athlete and I train like a professional athlete, then I'll be a professional athlete. And I'm like, that's not how that works.
Start where
at all. You have to start from today. Go back in time, get better parents, get better genetics, do all that stuff. So yeah, some stuff you can influence, some stuff you can't, but got to start where you are.
Yep.
All right, let's roll. So we started, you might have started this conversation, I don't remember, but this morning of just things are good at our salon. Mm-hmm. And that's how the conversation started. Do you want to talk about it? Or?
Sure. I think when you put a lot of effort in. You hope to get
So people listening, what are you putting effort into?
into building your
Be
business,
specific
into
so that
building your
people
brand,
can.
into building your culture of your salon. When you're putting in an honest effort, the goal is you should get back some return of what you're hoping for, right? So Todd and I have put in, I would say, beyond an honest effort in building the culture of the salon, leading the salon, finding the right teammates under Hello, and really cultivating a great group of people that are super talented and believe in what we're doing. And we're starting to see all the benefits of that. And some of that is we're seeing our team help lead the new people that come in and are speaking the language of like what Todd and I have spoken over and over, and just we're about education and integrity and honesty and educate. I think I said education. And then we're seeing these people kind of rise up and sort of like start doing fun things. And like something that happened this weekend, I think it was on Sunday, there was some downtime, and on the whiteboard, it's actually a blackboard in our break room, and they decorated it and put quotes on it and was reminding everybody of the education they have coming up individually or as a whole, reminding them to drink water. And it was just this moment of where I think both of us reflected and just like smiled, like proud parents of just like, wow, these people are all like, they could have been sitting on the couch just on their phones, but they decided to be creative and try to inspire their teammates. And it was just super cool. And you're just at a moment where you're like, I guess, proud. And it's, I don't see that a lot, owners going on and being like, I'm so proud of my staff. If anything, it's like, how do I hire? These people are a pain in my ass. Like you just see all the negative stuff, right? So to have a moment where we're reflecting on how proud we are, it was really cool. It was really cool. And when you want to work with the people that you have under your roof, like that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I don't see very many people going into like support groups or other types of like forums, I guess you could Facebook pages or whatever, and talking much about positivity at all.
Mhm.
It's always some sort of problem that you have. And I think it's a trickle down effect. I think that over the last almost 5 years now, so 4.5 years, we put our money where our mouth
Mhm.
is. We've backed up everything that we've said. We've followed our core values to the T. We haven't wavered from them,
Mhm.
and we live them daily in our decision making process. It's not silly to have, a mission statement, your vision and your core values laid out. I've talked to people that I feel like in the past that almost look at it as like that's a like trivial thing. Why would I do that? That's your foundation
Yeah.
of your entire
How do you
business.
make decisions
So
without it?
in right in 5 years, when you're scrambling to hire staff and nobody knows your message,
Right.
nobody knows what they're standing behind, and you can't get behind people just because they say they're going to do
Right.
something good. I've seen that too. I've seen that recently. So, well, right before we opened our salon,
Mhm.
where people just promise these insane things and never ever follow through with
Right.
anything. So I think it's important to celebrate the good stuff when it comes because, like you said, there are times where it feels like the bottom falls out.
Right.
And those are challenging times. But I think the thing that's important for people to remember is you're going to have the bad times. Like 100%.
Yeah.
You're having, if you're a small business owner, it's you're going to have bad times. You're going to have times that challenge you and make you ask yourself, like, why am I even bothering to do
Right.
this?
Well, you were saying,
And that's okay.
you said earlier, like you see people say, like, when does it get easier? And you're like, it doesn't. Because when
Yeah,
you
it
own a
doesn't.
business, it doesn't get easier. Like things, if you're doing them enough, you may be able to handle them better. But for like getting easier, there's always challenges, obstacles, things that just don't go the way you plan. It doesn't get easier. You just handle things better.
Yeah, true. So you get better at nudging things in the direction that they need to go in, and you get better at receiving whatever. So, say for example, we talked about recently bad reviews.
Hmm.
Say for example, you receive a bad review and you freak out, like you're like, can't believe my staff, they messed up that hair. You're looking at it through the wrong
Hmm.
lens. That's the wrong perspective. There's a teaching moment there, several of them, and if you can be positive and look at your staff in the right way, then you can support them. That's an opportunity for you to have a conversation. Maybe they do need work on something. Now you can have that conversation. Like I said, start the conversation. You maybe there's an opportunity for like our recent we had a 1-star review. We talked about it, so I don't need to go into crazy detail, but of a person that was very attacking, and I was like, this isn't okay. So I made sure that our staff member knew that we had her back 100%, and that if she needed anything, we were there for her. And I'll tell this other lady to scram. I'm not worried about the one client that's pissed off when we have an amazing team around us. I think there are currently 15 of us ish, I'll say. So, and we have a clientele that's amazing. And even our clients that are long-term clients, like we've had clients come and go. We've had clients go and come back. Like what we're curating is something that's positive and something that is, I think, pretty unique in the hair industry from what I've seen in the last 5-ish years, plus whatever I've learned from you before that.
Right.
So it's everything is an opportunity. There's just opportunity everywhere. And I think that's probably the underlying message, is just to find the positive in the opportunities that present themselves. But yeah, you might have times where the bad times feel like they're piling on. And sometimes we look for that, right? So when you're miserable, it's like, it's easy to be like, well, and this happened last week and that's where it started. And then your friend, like, I remember saying like, something bad happened and people are like, it happens in threes. What's the other two? I'm like, what? Why are you searching out negative things to happen? We already know that bad things are going to eventually happen to us. We don't need to go searching them out.
Yeah.
Right?
I think part of when I brought this topic up to you this morning, what sort of inspired me, I guess, was when we were talking about it, yes, being proud of all of the things that we're accomplishing, and it's really great. And what I find is that when people sometimes get to that spot, maybe like they have a goal, right? And they're like, oh, I'm finally at this goal. I can just coast, air quotes, coast. And I think as a business owner, a leader, if you're coasting, you are missing so many more opportunities. It's the time where you put your foot on the gas and you keep going. Everybody wants to be pushed. Even if they're not asking you to be pushed, people always want to get better and they always want to know what's next. Even if they're not asking you what's next, they're still wondering what's next. So yes, here we are celebrating all of these great things that the 5 years or 4.5 years of hard work have led us to, but we're not here just like, now I can sit back. It's time to sit on the beach and take a nap. Nope, we're now talking, once we celebrate that, what's next? What else do we want to do? How do we want to push our staff? What other things do we need to make Hello better? And that's what's going to keep us moving in this great direction and keep curating all of these wins that are going to happen. And it also really does help when you have those bad times, because they happen. It's everything ebbs and flows, right? When you have those bad times, it makes it not feel as bad. And it's also an awareness that even though there's a bad thing happening, it's not going to happen forever. It's not going to last super long. We will get through it and we'll figure it out and we'll learn from it and we'll be better because of it. And I think you have to have that perspective. But to celebrate the wins helps when things do fall out or you're having a hardship, whatever, you are able to get through it because you enjoyed the good times too. And you know that the good times will be back. But also, like I said, in these good times, we're like, okay, what's next? What else can we do for the team, for Hello? And then it's a time where we also self-check the business. Like, is our vision still aligning as we've curated this and as things are coming together? Like, do all of our things still stand where they need to be, or do they need to adjust? And we're constantly always having those conversations and pushing that needle.
I like when you were talking about pushing people, challenging them and what's next, that's a major miss for a lot of people, because your team, even not your team, even just people in general, they're not really sure. They don't have a direction.
Right.
Like, how many times have you, when you were younger, I don't know if you had as many jobs as I had. I don't think so. I think you waitressed and stuff, but like I would get to a job and immediately you're like excited to start a job. And then you're like, well, now what? And it wears off pretty quick after you learn the job. So say you go to work at a new place, say you're in the hair industry and you're like, I'm going to go work at this new salon, and you get there and it's all shiny and new because it's different. It's novel, and humans love novelty. So a little change, right? The slightest little dangle of a carrot, and you think that this place is great. And then you get there and you're like, well, now what? So there's a major opportunity for salon owners, shop owners, whatever, to show people, show your team where that opportunity is and bring them along. You know, I've seen people that are like, I do whatever, like use education. Well, if you're not into education, you can't, like they're not going to be
Right.
into it. So you have to have those core values to live by, or there's nothing to buy. It's like what I said earlier. It's like a trickle down effect. It starts with you and trickles down.
Right. And the lead is by actions. Like, it's easy. We've talked about this for, I do think a lot of salon owners want to be offering all the things that they may have listed out, but do they actually do it? No, they don't. And that's where I think, or I don't think, I know the change comes. It's you lead by example. You're not gonna just like treat your staff like they're children, which your children, you should be leading by example too. But what you do is what they're looking at. So they're following your lead. If you come to work in sweatpants and you're telling your staff to dress up, well, I mean, screw off. Like, you don't dress up, so why should I? Whether they say that or not, you are the example. I think we talked about that in the podcast before. I really started to hone in on that when we had kids, and I started to realize, like, no, even if you do bad things and people look up to you, they're going to repeat the bad things. So if you're trying to lead your team and they're not doing all the things you want, you need to, again, start where you are and look in the mirror. Are you leading them the right way? Like, what are you doing? And it could be you're the problem.
More people should ask themselves that question. How can I make this more clear? How can I help this person realize whatever I want them to realize? How can I help this person achieve what I want them to achieve? Because they might not know how to have that conversation, especially in the hair industry where you have young professionals coming out of school all the time. There's so much. I'll tell you right now. So a little while back, we had hired like 3 or 4 people, I think. And you were like, I hope one works out. And I was like, damn, those aren't good odds. And then, so as time progressed, what I realized is the people that aren't for you will weed themselves out. And then the magic is in the one person that you find and you hold on to.
Yeah.
So,
and it's how it went too.
Yeah. And I buy into that 100% now. It's not about I don't remember where I was going exactly or where I came onto this thought, but it's not necessarily about, I think we were talking, were you talking about staffing?
I think just like leading the staff by example, actions, and that kind of stuff. But
we were talking about young professionals. I'm trying to get back on track and I lost my train of thought.
Oh, I liked where you were going with it.
Yeah, I don't remember. That's why I'm asking for help. What was I talking about? You're just not picking up that.
You started just talking about how when we hired them, but
I was saying there's magic in like the new hair pros coming out of, I think I was going back to the conversation piece where I was saying they don't know how to ask the questions. They don't know how to have the conversations with you. So as a leader, you have to present that to them. You have to create the opportunities. And there's magic in the young professionals coming out of beauty school. But I feel they're often overlooked because you look at a school and you might have 120 people in a class coming out and you're like, they're a dime a dozen. Well, maybe to start. But if you're a good leader, you can filter through. But if you're not a good leader, you're going to struggle. And if you are a good leader, you're going to be able to filter through and find those diamonds or diamonds in the rough or however you want to look at it. That was kind of my point.
I see where you're going with that. And so
thanks for absolutely zero help.
I couldn't visualize where you were going.
I was like, hey, where was I going? And you were like, I like it.
I liked it, but I wasn't sure.
No, but where was I going?
That wasn't.
Yeah, I like what you were saying.
This was when we hired those 3 people. This was the first time we had hired.
I don't remember what I was saying.
Kind of like a group of people at once, and I do remember saying that. And I couldn't. I said to Todd, I'm like, when we first interviewed them, all came off great, and I'm like, I can't tell which one is going to be the fit. So that's sort of where we went with this group of young professionals, was like, let's hire all of them. And then I had said, I hopefully one stays. And it was clear as things, and to what Todd's saying, as you lead, you have expectations, you have hard conversations like, hey, you're not meeting these standards. It became extremely clear who was really wanted to be with us and wanted to be part of everything we were doing. And then we've arrived at it, and that one person is on our team, and she's fantastic. Shout out Tori.
Yeah, it was Tori. Yeah. Shout out Tori.
Yeah. She's amazing and is a perfect fit for what we needed. And like I said at the time, like you said, coming out of school, you don't know, because everyone coming out of school is like, I didn't learn anything. They all have the same kind of gripes, you know. I don't care what you learned or didn't learn. Just care that you pass your test so we can get going, and then we'll teach you the rest and see if you're a fit for
Teach you
us.
all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people should just, let's go back to the positivity. Like, we look at that as we found someone that's a great fit for our team,
Yeah.
and that we hope she stays for years and
Yep.
years, right? There's a ton of opportunity for her and growth and potential.
hmm
I feel that a lot of people out there would look at that and say, yeah, but you lost 3.
Right.
And you're always gonna, if you're just searching out the negative, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't even view it as a negative. I used to struggle with hiring because I'd be like, I like this person, but I don't know if they are a good fit. So, like, let's not have them.
hmm
And then I went through a phase where I was like, hire everybody, whatever, we'll filter them, we'll figure it out. And then now I'm like, it doesn't bother me if somebody doesn't last forever on our team, because there's a lesson there too. And it's just like part of small business ownership is hiring, firing, operating, all that stuff.
A big
So
part of it. And the sooner you can understand that. I used to have a really hard time with that. I know you knew that. I used to have a hard time with hiring because I wouldn't want to like rock the boat. Like if people don't like who we're hiring, like they're going to be mad. So I was like had a fear of like the staff, you know, not being happy. And then I had a fear of like when they didn't fit, letting them go. Like I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and I don't know, maybe they can get better. And now again, it's being a business owner, you got to get over it. And this is one of the hats you have to wear. You can hire how you want, fire how you want, but you need to have a system there, and you can't keep people on just because, and you can't not hire people because you're afraid your the shift is going to make them all mad. Like they're not in control. As a business owner, you're taking all the risk. And most often you need to grow your business. We see all the time people like, how do you hire? Well, there's all different ways. It depends on what you're looking for and what the needs of your business are and how you need to hire. But equally, it comes with sometimes you have to let people off your team. They're not a good fit. And that's okay too.
my favorite strategy for letting people off of the team, and this takes a lot of practice. So I think it's something that if you struggle with firing people, what I think you should do is work on having people realize that this isn't the best fit, and they will leave on their own. They will leave themselves.
Yep.
They will go. And it's happened a couple times at Hello, where I'm like, I don't think I want this person on our team long term. There might not even be, and this is, I guess, something else to think about. There might not even be an issue or a problem. It's just maybe like a vibe, like someone's vibe is off to me. And I'm like, I can't tell what it is. This person's not a bad person. There's nothing they've done that's malicious. I just don't think I want to be around them. I don't want them in my life as a part of my business for a long term, for whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so those people almost always weed themselves out
Yeah.
on their own.
I think it was a few years.
And I'm not mean to them or anything like that. It's just, I guess you have to demand what you want. Like we live by our core values. So if somebody isn't respecting those things, they're going to find out, they're going to hear about it. And typically with us, like the staff protects a lot of the culture and the vibe, you know, as well.
Right. Which is huge.
Yeah, I've had stuff. We've had stuff in the past where there's been like, you know, text chains and stuff, and people will show us and be like, "Hey, this is what," or stuff in Slack, like, "Hey, this is what's going on. I don't know if it's a concern or not." And it's like, "Hey, thanks for bringing that to my attention. I wish this person had brought it to my attention instead of trying to go behind my back and start some sort of a coup." Guess what? This person doesn't work at our salon anymore.
Yeah. And again,
and guess what? We didn't fire them.
yeah.
They left themselves.
Well,
Magic.
we focus on the positive of that. Thank you for you leading this team and bringing this to us. It's this other person, they have their own problems, right? If they didn't want it, we are an open book, so we're always easy to talk to, and that's on them. So it becomes very apparent of who wants to be on the team and wants to really make sure the team is protected in a good way.
For sure.
And I think I think it was like 3 or so years ago, because firing was a hard thing for me. And just to say like, I'm going to have to fire someone, I would like have like a panic attack. But when I started looking at it as you're just not a good fit from the team, like they'll find or they won't, that's on them. But once I started even approaching it with that mindset, was so much easier. Like, this is just not a good fit for us. And I've had some people come back and be like, what? I thought everything was great. I'm like, well, it's not. I don't even, at that point, usually I don't have to give any examples because we've had a few conversations and they're just not meeting them. So, like, that's theirs to figure out. But I'm like, nope, it's just not a good fit. Wish you the best of luck. And that's about it.
What's that saying? There's you accept what you, or you encourage what you accept, or something like that. So to allow people flexibility and to be creative is one thing, but to have rules that are constantly broken is another. And so if you accept that because you're like, well, I don't want to lose anybody, or I'll lose that revenue or whatever, then you're allowing
That bad behavior.
the eventual decay of your business. You know, it's like if you just skipped brushing your teeth and you're like, I'll get to it. You know, I got a little cavity now, but no big deal. I'll skip it, whatever. And you ignore it. Well, eventually you have that decay, just like you would in your business.
Right.
You can't ignore that stuff.
And
So
once that toxic vibe is there, oof, it's tough.
yeah, that's, I don't know how you would get rid of that. You have to scrap it and start
It's
over.
really difficult.
So yeah, sometimes it could be removing one person. But anyways, what we do is we just keep focusing on the positive, and that the negative will dissipate on its own.
Yeah, there's no
Or
room for it.
sometimes we have to interject, but it's really rare. Like we've never even had, we had one thing that I'm not going to bring up just because that came to our attention, and then we let the person go immediately. I actually was pissed off that we couldn't let this person go like within the minute, because I was pissed about something that happened. And but that's like the one time in the last, almost 5 years that's taken place. What else we got? Ups and downs of business, looking at the positive. Talk about the team. What are we doing? What do we have coming up?
So
you were saying, you were saying that our team buys into what we're doing, and I think that is something that's starting to spread too. We have like social media videos that we've been doing, and I used to focus. So this is actually a good one. I would put out like, a question or something, or ask someone for help with a post, and some people will just never, you're like, they're never going to do this. And so in the beginning, I would focus on the people that weren't involved instead of the people that were involved. And it messed me all up. It got me all tripped up because I was looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I needed to be looking at the people that were doing it. So now we have an amazing team, and we have people that, like, we have Jamie, for example, who's incredibly shy, but she even is involved in our social media, and she makes fun of herself lightheartedly, where she's like, I would pick this because I don't talk. Like, and that's amazing. And so for her to come on and do that, we had recently Kayla, who never does our social media stuff, really.
And she
played
along.
Again, not good or bad. She's not required to.
No.
But the fact that she did this last one that we put out, which was like, what horror movie would you survive in, or whatever. We're just having fun with our staff, and that gets contagious. And it's like, okay, now we're at a point where I'm like, okay, if too many people do this, the video is going to be too long. So everyone's like, I think let's rotate each week or something.
This is a great point though, because I have seen this in some of the groups we're in for like salon ownership, and they're like, how do you get people to participate in your social media? What do you require from them? And those same people are like, how do you hire people? Well, when you require people to do things, it's so not fun. So here's what's cool is we don't require it. We're putting it out. And as long as like, if the video is at least 1 or 2 people, cool. Yeah. Is it better when there's more people? Of course there is. But here's where the magic happens. We just did one of these like video fun things, and people who have never participated and have been with us almost the whole time we've been open just participated. And the win comes from our side. It's like they did that because they wanted to. Nobody told them they had to. There's no consequences if you don't. They came in and were just like, this one's going to be fun. And that's where you're like, this is so cool, because we give them the freedom and flexibility to be part of the things they want to. And if they don't want to, that is fine. They can stay in their lane. The only time it's not fine is if they're complaining about certain things and we're like, well, you're not participating, you're not doing this, so you can't really complain about it, right? But it's theirs to kind of drive that car as long as it's playing within our core values, our mission, what we stand for, right? So it's really cool, like to cultivate this, and then people just want to be part of it because now it's starting to kind of grow and like, well, that looks fun. I'm going to try this, and they're having fun. Fun is contagious, just as negative is, but we're focused on fun. So if we can get more people having fun and that's contagious, it keeps the vibe in our salon fun and positive.
Yeah, we do hair and have fun.
Yeah, We
I
do.
say that all the time. That's pretty much, you could sum up our place by
Yep.
that sentence. We do hair and we have fun. I think, I don't know. I don't know how, I don't have really any other ways to say it, but yeah, when you just focus on the positive instead of the negative, that's what you're going to attract.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to see. And then you're going to be okay over time
Yeah.
with the bad things that happen. You get the bad review and you're going to be able to brush it off easier. Look at
Mhm.
you, Jen, from even a
Oh,
year
yeah.
ago. Maybe you would stress out and you're like, this is bad and people are going to see this. And I'm like, of course people are going to see it.
Mhm.
Does any rational person think that every business is going to be 100% every time, or that every client is going to be a normal, sane human being? It just doesn't.
Right.
That's not the world we live in. We
Right.
have crazies out there. There's going to be times where your staff all want the same day off. Let them take the day off. Don't black out holidays. I saw that one
Yeah.
recently. What days do you black out for your
For
business
the stuff.
for the holidays or
So
whatever? And
basically,
I'm
you
like,
can't hang out with your
none.
family when that stuff comes up. You have to work. Like we're not a corporate job. I don't know. It just, yeah. And then those are the same people that are like, why can't I hire anybody? It's like, because you're not fun. And if you're like, well, I couldn't just close my business for a day. Well, you could if you structured your business the right way to know that that could happen. You can structure your business that way. We set our business up so that if everybody wanted the same day off, we'll be in a position that we could close that day and it doesn't hurt us. Like it is
Right.
what it is.
Right. Where most people see it as a loss. Well, I lost that business for that day. We see it as, we just gave a day to
Yeah.
our staff that they're going to go create memories or
Mhm.
go to a wedding or go camping with their friends or whatever.
Right.
But we're looking at, again, the positive
Yeah.
side of what's coming out of it is not money. Yeah. And I'm not saying be stupid, because there are times where you look at a schedule and you're like, all right, we got to, like, we could fill this, or we could
Yeah.
be more logistical with this or whatever.
Mhm.
But either way, I follow this guy on Instagram. He's a chef and business owner, and it's like Detroit 75 maybe. He's like a cool guy from Detroit who has like a food truck, and then they made like a more permanent place too.
Nice.
And he's always talking about treat your staff well, because that's what they deserve. They're people. So
Yeah.
he's like, we're closed on the weekends. Pretty sure he has a food business, and that's when you can probably rake it in.
Mhm.
And he's like, my staff deserves, they work so hard through the week with me. They deserve the weekends off. And I'm like, yeah, I wish more people could see that.
Mhm.
But we're in an industry where we're still so stuck in the Stone Age, where we're like, I require every other Saturday at least, or I require this. Well, what if
Same.
people have young kids and they're like, I have, baseball practice or whatever on
Right.
Saturdays? Like, that's their time. Like, they get to decide that. And so that's something that we've done with our business that I think is positive. And I don't really think of it as innovative at all, but we pretty much let people have the schedule they want.
Mhm.
If they need to switch stuff, they switch stuff. If they have clients and they want a day off, they'll move those clients
Yeah.
to another day. And they're like, hey, something came up. I'm going to go have a beach day. Great. Good for you.
Mhm.
Like, enjoy it. We only get so many of those,
Right.
especially here in New England.
Mhm.
So again, I mean, you could choose to look at it as like you're a dictator and, this is the dress code and how I want you to dress. And this, again, if you have a dress code, I'm not knocking it or saying
Yeah.
don't have that. I'm just saying, you give people rules and then let them operate within that. And that's where there's magic,
And it's treating them like a young adult or an adult. Like you should expect that they can
Yeah,
do
they're
these
adults.
things and then they have to do them. So if whatever it is that you like, yeah, set the expectations, they will arrive at it. And if they don't, those aren't your people. Like you haven't hired the right people.
Yeah, right. It's on you. Ask yourself, like I said earlier, ask yourself how, like, why aren't they getting it?
Yeah.
Well, it's on you. You're the operator.
Right.
You're the business owner, unless you have a management layer. If you have a larger salon,
Mhm.
you might have a management layer, and then your job is to run that management layer, and that their job becomes to run
Right.
the staff. But either way, everything trickles down from you.
Mhm.
So what else you got?
No.
Closing takes?
Oh, we're doing a closing take?
Yeah, closing thoughts.
Oh.
Be more positivity. That's my closing take. My
My
closing thought.
closing
Anyway,
thought is going to
click. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it's just going to be, yeah, I guess focus more on the positive. And if your salon or your business isn't going in the right direction, you need to look at yourself first and figure out what changes you need to make to get yourself and the business there.
My closing thought is to click on some stuff
Yes.
and sign up for something with us.
Send us a coffee.
There's an email list. Send us a coffee. How would somebody send
Isn't
us
there
a
like a coffee button or something?
Grubhub?
Isn't there
A
like
coffee
I
button?
thought there was like click a coffee or something. I don't know.
Oh, we don't have that.
Oh,
Buy me a
dang.
coffee. I think it's called. You can put that on. You can put that on your podcast. I have seen it before. We don't have anything like that on our show. Should we? I would take a coffee. Decaf, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
drink coffee.
I don't know. It could be fun. Sorry.
All right. I'll see what I can do.
Okay,
Buy us a coffee if you like the show. If not, though, click something. Get in our email list. I'm working on sort of structuring that because I think it's time for an update. And yeah, so we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.